Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Take Your Shot podcast. Of course, as always, I'm your wonderful host, Joshua Gitman. And on today's episode, we discuss what could potentially be a blockbuster for the ages. That's all coming up and more on today's episode of the Take Your Shot podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an emergency podcast because I was just about to go to bed. And when I tell you I was just about to go to bed, I was literally in my covers on my phone. And then this tweet comes out. I thought it was fake, but multiple sources have confirmed it is true. A blockbuster for the ages. Luka Doncic is getting traded to the Los Angeles Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis in what is potentially the biggest trade in NBA history. Luka Doncic getting traded from the Mavericks just after leading them to an NBA Finals last season against the Boston Celtics, gets traded for Anthony Davis. The Lakers and the Mavericks swap stars. And of course, there's more involved in this trade. This is actually a 3-team deal with the Utah Jazz getting involved in it as well. But we will break down every aspect of this trade. But first of all, I cannot believe this has happened. Luka Doncic, we all thought was going to be a Maverick for life. All of a sudden, just like that, on what is now technically a Sunday morning, February 2nd, 2025, gets traded just after making the finals. And Anthony Davis, who we thought was a perfect match with LeBron James, won a championship together in 2020, have been together ever since, now gets moved. Wow. So first of all, let's start with the Los Angeles Lakers perspective here, because Anthony Davis obviously out today against the New York Knicks. And the Lakers actually picked up a great win against the Knicks today. 128 to 112. LeBron James getting a triple-double in that one. And Anthony Davis being out, okay, we thought Anthony Davis was taking a rest day. No, he was getting traded. The Dallas Mavericks, who have been up and down with injuries this season, have had not necessarily the greatest season, 26-23, still 3 games over the 500, but sitting at 8th in the West. The Lakers, 9 games over the 500 at 28-19, at 5th in the Western Conference, having a much better season with JJ Redick at the helm, decide to do this blockbuster trade of the ages. Luka Doncic, who was the 5th overall pick in the 2018 NBA draft. 3rd overall pick in the 2018 draft. Got traded for the 5th overall pick, and Trae Young, the Hawks, had the 3rd pick. Mavericks had the 5th pick. They made a swap. And Luka Doncic obviously ends up in Dallas. Trae Young ends up in Atlanta. Luka Doncic's impact. He is a generational talent, a generational player. And again, I thought he was going to be a Dallas Maverick for a very long time after leading that team to the finals, having an incredible year last year, playing 70 games at 34 points a game, 9.8 assists per game, 9.2 rebounds per game, nearly averaging a triple-double. This season, though, Luka Doncic is not as healthy. Obviously, he goes down with some injuries, only playing 22 games so far this season, and he continues to remain out. And what do the Mavericks do? They decide to trade away someone who is 25 years old, someone, if you probably had to pick out of the players who you want to start a franchise with right now, he would probably be either first or second behind Victor Wembanyama. That is how good Luka Doncic is right now. And Dallas decides they want to move on, and they make a big deal because they want to go for it right now. They get Anthony Davis, The Los Angeles Lakers star center. Again, Anthony Davis was with LeBron James for all those years. Obviously, the trouble in New Orleans, requesting out, goes to the Lakers year one, wins an NBA championship with the Lakers. Then, as the years go by, 21 didn't make the playoffs. 2022 lost. 21 they lost in the first round to Phoenix. 22 they didn't make the playoffs. 23 made the conference finals and got swept by Denver. Last year losing in the first round to Denver. And then this season looking a little bit better than the past couple of seasons, but the Lakers haven't really been at that championship contender level. And now the Lakers are going for it all right now, trading for a star guard in Luka Doncic, something that the Lakers haven't had since Kobe Bryant, a star guard who can handle the ball, can relieve pressure on LeBron James, and can become a shot creator, someone who can score at all three levels, someone who can isolate and hit the big shot. And the Lakers, looking at where they are in the standings right now, fifth in the Eastern Conference, fifth in the West, only a game behind the fourth place Denver Nuggets, 10 games out of first place, but 3.5 games behind the second and third place Rockets and Memphis Grizzlies. The Lakers want to go all in right now, giving up Anthony Davis and a first-round pick and Max Christie, who is also a very impactful starter for the Lakers, having a career year for Los Angeles after really not playing that much as of recently. Max Christie is balling out for the Lakers at 8 points per game for them as they decided to start him after trading D'Angelo Russell, moving him to the bench. Max Christie got the start, so they're not only giving up Davis, they're giving up a second starter in Max Christie, and they're giving up one of their 2 first-round picks. So they are going all in for Luka Doncic right here, right now. The Utah Jazz were also involved in this trade. The Lakers gave up Jalen Hood-Schifino, which has been a little bit of a bust for the Lakers, and they get 2 seconds to take on Hood-Schifino. I mean, I'm still trying to digest what just happened, but the Lakers just made a very bold move. The Mavericks just made a very bold move. And do the Mavericks think that trading Luka Doncic, pairing up Anthony Davis with Kyrie, getting a little bit older, giving up your franchise cornerstone, someone who really was going to be there for the next 10 to 15 years in Luka Doncic. They think Anthony Davis is going to be that person that can be a win-now player. And Shams just created another tweet saying the Mavericks approached the Lakers recently and offered Luka Doncic. This was the Mavericks offering Luka Doncic, not the Lakers getting Luka Doncic. The Mavericks offering Luka Doncic. And they believe the Lakers, that the 25-year-old would be the next face of the franchise, and they're willing to give up Anthony Davis for him in what is a win-now move for both sides. So not even the Lakers were looking to get Luka Doncic. It was the Mavericks putting him on the table after everything Luka Doncic has done. Luka Doncic saving that franchise, making the Mavericks the most relevant they have been since they won the championship in 2011. And then after that, Dirk pretty much faded away into the sunshine, retiring. I mean, there was a few good years in there. They made a couple of decent runs, but the Mavericks were really not as relevant and really didn't have that star, that franchise, that generational player until they drafted Luka Doncic. And now the Lakers get Luka Doncic for him to be their next cornerstone piece, for him to be a face of a historic franchise. Remember, this is the Los Angeles Lakers we're talking about, going all the way back from Elgin Baylor and Jerry West to Magic Johnson to Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal to now LeBron James. And when LeBron James eventually retires, Luka Doncic will now be the face of that historic franchise. And the Lakers got someone who has untapped potential and can lead a team to a championship. And if the Lakers really did not think that with LeBron James and Anthony Davis that this was going to be the answer. The Lakers thought Anthony Davis wasn't the number 2 that LeBron James needed. And the Lakers, this is not only a, okay, let's go for it now move. This is for a, let's go for it now. Get someone who's probably better than Anthony Davis right now, even though they're both top 10 players in the league. But also getting a little bit younger. So when LeBron retires, they have a young corner piece in Luka Doncic to build around. And that's why the Lakers not only gave up Anthony Davis, who has been with them for 5 seasons, but gave up another starter in Max Christie and one of their 2 first-round picks. And for the Mavericks side, again, they gave up a cornerstone, but they think Anthony Davis, who's, to be honest, been relatively healthy these past 2 seasons. Last year, played 76 games. This season has played 42 of the Lakers' 47 games, so has been relatively healthy this season as well as last season. Obviously, Davis, after that championship in 2020, only played 36 games in 21, 40 games in 22, and 56 games in 23, but has been relatively healthy the past 2 years. Luka Doncic not healthy right now. Maybe the Mavericks thought that, okay, Luka Doncic is not healthy. It doesn't look like he's going to come back anytime soon, and we have to go for it right now as we have an aging star already and Kyrie Irving. Let's bring someone in Anthony Davis who is relatively on the same timeline as Luka Doncic. I mean, not Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving. And let's go for it. Let's win an NBA championship. And the Mavericks, who really need to get back in the standings, make a desperation move. But I think Anthony Davis, of course, is one thing, really going to improve their defense dramatically, because something that the Mavericks have not done well in the past few years, especially with Luka Doncic on the helm, is playing well on that defensive side of the ball. And yes, we love Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is an amazing player, a generational player, as we mentioned. Not a great defender. Anthony Davis, a probably top 2, maybe the best defender in the league right now. They upgraded center. Now the Dallas Mavericks also get Max Christie, who can either come off the bench as a 6-man or start in place of Spencer Dinwiddie. So you probably look at the lineup now as Kyrie, Max Christie, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, and Anthony Davis. Obviously, Derek Lively suffering an injury that will keep him out for 2 months. So the Mavericks definitely needed an extra big man. Obviously, Dwight Powell, getting up there in age, hasn't played in a while, not really the player he used to be. So the Mavericks, even getting Anthony Davis, having that ability to move Daniel Gafford to the bench, is definitely something that they probably considered in this deal. And the Mavericks bench, if they start the 5 I said, is going to be Spencer Dinwiddie, Quentin Grimes, Dante Exum, Najee Marshall, and Daniel Gafford. So the Mavericks go ahead and upgrade there. They give up Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris. Obviously, Markieff Morris now not really the player he is, but the Lakers to sort of cancel out, per se, what Anthony Davis had. Obviously not canceling out, but just bringing another big into the lineup. You know what I'm saying with Maxi Kleber to bring him off the bench. So now you're probably starting Austin Reeves, Dalton Knecht potentially, or Gabe Vincent as your starting point guard now. I'd probably go with Gabe Vincent based on his experience. Keep Knecht off the bench, very similar to Austin Reeves. So I would go Gabe Vincent, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Luka, and LeBron. Is that the lineup? Are you going to go guard heavy with Gabe Vincent, Reeves, Luka, Rui, and then LeBron? Basically, Rui being your center. Or are you going to go Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, Hachimura, LeBron, and then you start Jackson Hayes and then bring Vincent, Knecht, Dorian Finney-Smith, Vanderbilt, and Kleber off the bench? Is that what the Lakers are going to do? There's many possibilities if they can go a guard-heavy lineup, or they can bring another big man and start Jackson Hayes in there. potentially over another guard like Gabe Vincent or Dalton Knecht. So we'll see what the Lakers do to adjust when Luka Doncic gets healthy and gets back in the mix for the Los Angeles Lakers. I can't even believe I'm saying Luka Doncic getting healthy for the Los Angeles Lakers. But this is a blockbuster trade for the ages. When we saw this trade deadline, we were expecting it to all be about Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler. And then De'Aaron Fox comes up. Could he get traded? And then out of nowhere, on the midst of a Sunday morning, it's 12:43 right now. This happened about 27 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, half an hour ago, at 12:13 in the morning. This blockbuster trade for the ages. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this near the trade deadline. Two superstars, two top 10 players in the league getting swapped for each other. And just as a side note here, Bobby Marks has tweeted out, which is a very interesting tweet. Luka Doncic was extension eligible this summer to get a supermax, to get a 5-year, $345 million contract supermax extension this summer with the Dallas Mavericks. Now, Luka Doncic with the Lakers can only get a maximum of 5 years, $229 million. So Luka giving up over $115 million by getting traded to the Lakers. Obviously, it's not his say. He's the one who wanted to get traded. He's not the one who made this trade happen, but Luka Doncic now losing $100 million in this process. Obviously, if he intends to re-sign with the Lakers will give him the maximum contract. But again, this is a little interesting now because, yes, Luka Doncic is there, but he also is on an expiring, and maybe he wants to play in LA. Maybe he wants to be the next cornerstone of a historic franchise. But Luka Doncic could decide, if I don't like this situation, I could leave. I could go into free agency. So yes, trading Anthony Davis, a huge risk if Luka Doncic does not like being a Laker. So the Lakers are really banking on him embracing that culture in Los Angeles, being the next cornerstone, playing next to LeBron James and competing for a title and making him feel like you have a better chance on a Lakers team that's playing better than the Mavericks right now at 28-19, fifth in the West, compared to Dallas at 26-23, eighth in the Western Conference. The Lakers have to convince him that this is a better opportunity to win a title, and that even though they only have a couple of shots left with LeBron and Luka, and I can't even believe I'm saying those two are playing together, that Luka Doncic can be the cornerstone. They can get more guys in the future. But the Lakers gave up a first. They only have one more tradable first-round pick. Obviously, they can make another move at the deadline if they would like. The Dallas Mavericks gaining a first-round pick here, but getting Anthony Davis to pair with Kyrie Irving. And I honestly like the pair. But giving up Luka Doncic and taking a gamble here, not wanting to pay him 5 years, 300. And what was that number again? I'm trying to figure out that number. 5-year, $345 million. The largest contract in NBA history. Dallas probably did not want to do it. They did not want to give Luka Doncic that money. And I don't understand it, because considering what Luka Doncic has done right now this season, despite being hurt, 28 points a game, 8.3 rebounds, nearly 8 assists per game, averaging nearly another triple-double this season. They don't want to give him the supermax. I think that's a major mistake. And Dallas is looking at it like, okay, we got to win now. And the Lakers are like, okay, this is not only going to help us now, but this is going to help us in the future. So this is a major gamble, but it's a gamble for the Lakers, as I mentioned, because he has an expiring contract. This is a major gamble for both sides. This could be a win-win trade. This could be a win-lose trade going the Lakers' way, or it could be a lose-lose trade because Luka leaves, Dallas doesn't become a contender. I don't really see a way where this could be a win-win trade. I don't really see how the Mavericks win this trade. I cannot believe Dallas gave up their cornerstone, someone who is going to be there for the next 10 years, unless they knew that Luka Doncic wasn't happy which is why they were exploring options. Could that be the case? Could Luka Doncic not have been happy with the Dallas Mavericks in Dallas and that front office? And Nico Harrison said, okay, he's not happy right now. Nobody in the league knows. So, hey, let's go try to trade him. Let's get max value and let's not lose him for nothing. Because, again, I will repeat this again. Luka Doncic, if he wants, can be an unrestricted free agent in the summer of 2026. So there is a risk here if you're the Lakers. There is a risk here by getting Luka Doncic. And the Mavericks felt like that if this situation with the tension between Luka and the Mavericks got hot out, that he would not be as valuable on the trade market, and they could potentially lose him for nothing in 2026. Now they get someone in Anthony Davis who obviously is a little bit older than Luka Doncic. He's 31 years old. You pair him with Kyrie Irving, a similar timeline, and see if a big man that can improve your defense dramatically can make the difference, but you're giving up the cornerstone of your franchise. I mean, what a trade. And the Utah Jazz were in this as well, taking Jalen Hood-Schifino. Obviously, Jalen Hood-Schifino has not panned out as the 17th overall pick in the 2023 NBA draft, last season's NBA draft, and they get 2 second-round picks as well. So Dallas gave up a second to get a first. The Lakers gave up Jalen Hood-Schifino so they could take on Luka Doncic's current contract, Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris as well. Kleber will be a nice piece for the Lakers off the bench. Yes, he's not nearly Anthony Davis, but they get another big to replace Anthony Davis, and they have now a backup big. I don't know if are they going to start Jackson Hayes and go big, or are they going to start a guard like Gabe Vincent, have Gabe Vincent with Reeves, Doncic, LeBron, and Rui, or are they going to put Luka at point guard with Austin Reeves, then LeBron, Rui, and Jackson Hayes? If I had to guess, I'd probably say that second lineup, putting Luka Doncic at point guard. Obviously, J.J. Redick. Now, this is a big story because J.J. Redick, the new head coach of the Lakers, first-year head coach, he's doing an amazing job. If you saw what he did in New York tonight, completely outcoached Tom Thibodeau. But the story I'm trying to get to here is J.J. Redick, in his last season of his career, played with the Dallas Mavericks. He was teammates with Luka Doncic. How big of a role did J.J. Redick have in all of this? Was J.J. Redick the facilitator? Did he tell Rob Pelinka? Did he tell that front office, let's go all in it and let's try to get Luka Doncic because I know how good this guy can be because I saw him every day in practice work. I saw the potential. I saw the talent that this young individual had. That's the question. I think J.J. Redick had a big part in executing this trade for the Los Angeles Lakers. But once again, this is very, very shocking. Major, major news. And Nico Harrison, now we're getting word from Dallas Mavericks reporter Tim McMahon that Nico Harrison, the GM of the Dallas Mavericks, told ESPN that he believes that defense wins championships, which is obviously true. Trading for an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player will give the Mavericks a better chance, according to Mavericks GM Nico Harrison. That is the Mavericks GM coming out and explaining the trade. Also, the Dallas Mavericks had major concerns about moving forward with Luka Doncic due to his constant conditioning issues and the commitment of a supermax and dealing with those conditioning issues. Obviously, Luka Doncic has not been healthy this year. Last year, he played 70 out of 82. The years prior, played 66, 65, but has missed about 10 to 15 games per season. So not really the most durable player out there. And now he's only played 22 out of what has been 49 games for the Dallas Mavericks. So Luka has missed a lot of time this season. We don't know when Luka Doncic is going to come back. But the Mavericks saying that they were concerned about his conditioning. They were concerned if Luka Doncic was going to commit to that Mavericks organization says a lot. And it is a swing for both sides here. Once again, The Dallas Mavericks trading Luka Doncic to the Lakers, Anthony Davis going to the Mavericks, and what is the biggest blockbuster in NBA trade deadline history? I said it right here, right now. We are nearly 25 minutes into this video, and I can still not get over myself. Now, let's talk about the pairings. Let's start with the Los Angeles Lakers. Luka Doncic and LeBron James on the same team. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. LeBron James, obviously 40 years old, doing things that we haven't seen a 40-year-old do in NBA history. And now the Lakers, fifth in the West, 28-19, pairs with Luka Doncic. The only concern I have here is I feel like LeBron and Luka, very similar point guard roles. Luka and LeBron, to me, have very similar play styles. And LeBron and Luka, they both can handle the ball. They both can attack downhill and draw fouls. They both are 3-level scorers. So the question is, which one is going to play off the ball? Is JJ Redick going to have a combination of both LeBron James and Luka Doncic at the point guard role? Because I feel like both of them in their positions have thrived, especially Luka Doncic and now LeBron James in this stage of his career. Both of them have thrived in that role. So that is really my concern for the Lakers with this pairing. Again, two historic names in Luka Doncic and LeBron James, two players that are game changers in this league, and we know are players that can lead you to an NBA championship. We know that for sure. But I feel like they have very similar styles. So we'll see how JJ Redick incorporates Luka Doncic with LeBron James in that Lakers offense. For the Dallas Mavericks, I like the pairing. I like Anthony Davis as a defensive player for the Dallas Mavericks. I think Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis on the pick and roll will be a great combination. We really haven't seen Kyrie Irving in his career really play with that sort of center, that center that is a lob threat, that center that helps on the second layer of defense, that center that's more of a pick and roll center rather than that stretch big, because we saw Kyrie play with guys like Kevin Love, a guy like Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, guys who can really stretch the floor more. Davis, he can stretch the floor, but Davis likes to get his buckets inside. So that combination, that pick and roll combination of Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, going to be very hard to guard. And again, the underrated acquisition of Max Christie, having a decent year so far with the Los Angeles Lakers, they had to give him up in this trade. He actually scored 15 points tonight against the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden in his last game as a Los Angeles Laker. He probably moves into the starting lineup. It'll be Irving, Christie, Thompson, P.J. Washington, and Anthony Davis. And don't get me wrong, that is an elite level starting five right there, a championship contender. But the Mavericks have a lot of climbing in the standings to do. The Dallas Mavericks, once again, 26-23. They're one game behind the seventh place Timberwolves. They're 2.5 games behind the sixth place Clippers, 3 games behind the fifth place Lakers, and 4 games behind the fourth place Nuggets, and nearly 6.5 games behind the second and third place Rockets and Grizzlies. So the Mavericks have a lot of climbing to do, but this gives them a healthier team right now, the potential to climb back in the standings. They have a huge one against the Cleveland Cavaliers technically today, but obviously there'll be a lot of players out for the Mavericks there, so expect to lose that. But then after that, the Mavericks play at Philadelphia on Tuesday, which could potentially be the debut of Anthony Davis. If not, it would be Thursday at Boston, a finals rematch on TNT at the Boston Celtics this Thursday in TD Garden. That could be a big one for the Dallas Mavericks, making his debut. And the Mavericks play at the Lakers, which could potentially be Anthony Davis's return game to the Lakers on February 25th. That is on national television. They also get him back at home on the third to last game of the season, April the 9th. The Lakers go to Dallas. It will be at 7:30 on ESPN. So both games, we have one at Dallas, one at Los Angeles on primetime. The question is, will Luka be back for this first game. Probably not. I think he's still got a few more weeks to go with his injury issues. But the Lakers, they have a Tuesday game against the Clippers. They have a game against the Warriors on Thursday, but I don't think Luka Doncic will be in any of those. But after they play the Clippers, Warriors, and Pacers, they have a relatively easy 4-game stretch against the Utah Jazz twice, Charlotte, and then at Portland. I don't know if Luka Doncic is going to return in one of those, ease him into the lineup, play an easier team. I still don't really know how long Luka Doncic has with his injuries, so we will see when he will come back for the Los Angeles Lakers. But this was an absolute blockbuster. And when I tell you, have we ever seen any trade like this in the deadline ever? No. This is the greatest trade of all time, and we're getting more word here. We're getting more news as this story continues to go. Just to confirm, Luka Doncic did not request a trade. This was the Mavericks GM, Nico Harrison, saying, let's trade Luka Doncic. Let's get a defensive guy. We're worried about his conditioning. We don't really want to pay him the supermax. We want to trade someone who is 25 years old, going to be a cornerstone for any franchise for 10 to 15 years. We're giving that up. We don't really want to pay him. We don't trust his conditioning. Instead, we're going to improve our defense, which has been lacking the past few years, with Anthony Davis and pairing him up with Kyrie Irving and getting another decent piece in Max Christie to see how that goes, and getting a first-round pick from the Lakers, which obviously they could use in another trade. Right now, the Mavericks are still open for business, and I'd expect them to be shopping that Lakers 29 first-round pick to get better, because if you're trading for Anthony Davis, who's 31 right now, and you're giving up Luka Doncic, who's 6 years younger, you are clearly going for it now. Kyrie Irving, he's 32. Davis is 31. So if I'm the Mavericks, they should be looking to trade that Lakers 29 first-round pick along with something else to get something that can bolster that lineup. And I think part of the reason why Dallas decided to do this trade, because of Klay Thompson. And yes, this may sound a little bit crazy, but Klay Thompson has been playing a lot better as of late for the Dallas Mavericks. We saw Klay Thompson have, I think, a vintage performance in that first quarter against the Washington Wizards. He had 7 threes in the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. It was a vintage Klay Thompson performance, but he has been much better as of late for the Dallas Mavericks, which is why I think they decided to pull the trigger on this trade. He had 23 against Washington, 20 against New Orleans, 13 in a loss against the Pistons, but he has been much better as of late. And as we continue to find out more news, Chris Haynes is reporting that Anthony Davis is waiving his trade kicker, which, for those of you who don't know, as Anthony Davis gets traded to the Dallas Mavericks, this means that if Anthony Davis were to get traded, he would get a 5 to 10% increase in salary, which would cost Dallas more money in the salary cap. But Anthony Davis is saying no. Dallas will have a little bit more flexibility here, not have to pay Anthony Davis potentially $5 to $10 million more dollars, depending on how much money that is. Obviously, I don't know the number in my head, but as we still process this trade, it would actually be $43.2 million to $49.2 million, and Anthony Davis is waiving that. So the Dallas Mavericks saved $6 million there by Anthony Davis waiving that, which is a really good thing for the Mavericks. And as we go here right now, I'm looking at some tweets. I'm looking at the finances in this deal, and I'm just trying to find out more information as we go, because this is breaking. This is live right here, right now. Anthony Davis getting traded to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Luka Doncic as the Lakers get their next cornerstone piece. And I think this might be it. I think we're going to end it today. But I haven't done an episode in a while because I'm going to change the format of the podcast. I'm going to do something more like this, where we do trade back, where we do individual videos, not really doing a full hour-long podcast, but more quantity of videos, but less time on the videos. So more shorter videos discussing things happening in the NBA. But don't forget, our trade deadline special is going to be this Thursday. We will have much more about this trade as we know more. Obviously, Jimmy Butler still on the trade market. He will most likely get traded by this deadline. De'Aaron Fox obviously getting shot by the Sacramento Kings. We have so much more in this trade deadline, but for what we thought was going to be headlined by two disgruntled superstars, this happens. A blockbuster. And I will say it for the 15th time, and I know you might be sick of me hearing this. We have never seen a trade like this in NBA history. I don't think anybody expected either side to do this. And Anthony Davis and LeBron James, who have been so close all these years, Luka Doncic, who looked to be the cornerstone of the Dallas Mavericks, they get swapped for each other. Davis and Luka Doncic, obviously more involved in the trade, as I mentioned earlier. But what a trade. What a historic blockbuster. And we will talk about it more on Thursday on our trade deadline special with the Jimmy Butler trade that's most likely going to happen with De'Aaron Fox and so much more. There was also a trade that happened today with the Clippers and the Utah Jazz. So the Jazz getting involved in two trades today. Drew Eubanks and Patty Mills going to the Los Angeles Clippers in exchange for PJ Tucker, Mo Bamba, and a second-round pick. We're not going to get into that now because it is very late, and it is currently 1:04 in the morning. And yes, I'm a little tired, but I'm also very rejuvenated and trying to find out just as much as you are right now on this current trade. But we will talk about all the trades that happened on our trade deadline special. And I was going to make it 2 hours. This trade deadline special might be 3 hours. What a blockbuster we just had in the NBA. I will talk about it more Thursday and as we get more information. Thank you so much for watching this podcast, this emergency podcast. And holy cow, what just happened?